Good morning. The Schliemann defense, or Janisch gambit. Janisch actually developed this line, and Schliemann didn't actually play this. He played bishop c5, then c3, and then f5. But however, it's usually called Schliemann defense, and it's a little bit similar to the Latvian counter gambit, where you can see f5 right after knight f3. But here knight c6, then bishop b5, and then f5. And I wanted to cover something crazy today, something refreshing. So here white can play d3 or knight c3. d3 is like declining the gambit, so that should be pretty safe. Let's explore a little bit. Here black usually takes on e4 or plays knight f6. Can also play d6 or bishop c5. And bishop c5 looks quite good, but let's look at this first. It's the most common. And then knight f6 is best for black. White can just castle, and yeah, doesn't seem to be so bad for white. So that's not something white should be afraid of. Bishop c5 might be a threat, and here knight c3 might not work, or even castle. There's not so many games from here, so e takes 5, e takes f5 looks good, and now white can castle or play bishop g5 with an active counterplay against the gambit. Because if white just castles, then black can take on e, and well, it's still not bad for white, but black has some activity, and if knight c3, then knight f6 or d6 both look good for black. White has no victories out of all the games here, so here bishop takes e3 or bishop b6, backing down, and black still has the option of taking to e4, taking on e4 if he wants to, or to push forward. So that's a plus for black, and he can develop peacefully. So it's not something white wants to allow, I guess. But white's main option is knight c3, and it's called the Berger variation here. And here black takes on e4, and white takes on e4, and then black can play d5 with complications, or knight f6 with quieter play. Let's look at knight f6 first. Queen e2, or just taking the knight on f6. Capturing the knight looks even better. So then queen e2, and white has a certain advantage. He wins the e pawn, and black can take the um, knight also. That could be a draw, but and yeah, this could occur. White has one more, uh, I mean one extra pawn, and it might be decisive. White's main line here is queen e2, and this is still actually this is quite drawish, so why should white allow this for black? I should just go for an exchange on f6. And here also possible was c4, which is much better than d takes e, but it's good to know as black what to do here if white plays d takes e. So still it's mostly white that's winning these games. But yes, here c4 has scored very well, and well, bishop g4 looks better than a6, and here it's drawish again. But let's look at black's main weapon d5, which complicates the game. And here white can take on e5 with the knight, or play knight g3. They're pretty equal. This is more common, and now black takes white's e knight, and white takes on c6. Black doesn't recapture because there's this fork with the bishop, so he plays queen g5, hitting the g-pawn and the bishop. Here white plays queen e2, protecting the bishop, and it's not advantageous for black to take on g, it seems, because of queen h5, and there's just too many threats against the black king, so black plays knight f6. And white still has a good game. He can play f4, which is most common, and when black takes, then white plays knight e5 check, and here c6 d4, and taking on b5 apparently is not good, maybe because of the recapturing with the queen, and well, okay, the queen is being hit, so I didn't notice that. So here queen h4 check, g3, queen h3, bishop c4, bishop e6. It's still very tactical, but this is the main line. Bishop g5, castle long, and black managed to get to safety, and So did white, he also castles long. And here bishop d6. Let's look at material. It's even. Here white plays queen f1 usually, but bishop takes e6 has scored better for white, much better, and also just knight f7, forcing black to take on f7 and then recapturing with the bishop has been pretty good. Or just rook h to f1. So queen f1 actually equalizes the situation, but white should go for an advantage over here. So let's look at bishop takes e. And here, even better probably is just to exchange queens to go for a possible draw in the endgame with black. So lots of complications here, and also many deviations here that black and white can play. So many forcing variations that you should be aware of, and this is really good practice for tactics and I guess strategy also, how to form the strategy in Schliemann defense. It's mostly tactical here, so yes, but I think it's a very interesting opening, and it's used as a surprise weapon even at the top level. uh, Ivanchuk recently used this in the Bilbao tournament 2011, and I think Anand played d3, so he declined this gambit just in case, because most likely he hadn't prepared this particular opening that day. So, and well, Ivanchuk got a draw, so I guess it was worth it. So thanks for watching. Bye.